everybody, Captain Bill Saiff III, working the shipping lane wall here for Kings. Al Kessler coming out of Mexico Bay here this morning to fish with us. Got a big king up right now on a flasher fly combination that came 125, 126 feet down. Basically, we're fishing a spoon pattern, but these kings have been a little fickle here today. A little bit to the right, Matt, and a little bit more speed, just a bit. So what we did is we threw a flasher fly combination into the pattern to hopefully try to draw those kings in so they'd spin off the flasher fly and hit the spoons. It worked. We took a king, missed a king, and then the actual flasher just took the strike. Back her down just a touch, Matt, in between there and where you were. One of the reasons we wanted to come to you with a video here this morning is we got some charter captains on the boat looking at our patterns here on the shipping lane wall, and we want to talk about spread of the pattern, and we want to show people why we run wingers and how we build that pattern. This came on a winger rod, an outside bait on our #1 rigger. Spread, we're not right on top of the wall, we were out over deep water, but we run those wingers. It's a directional diving plate that sits above the weight that spreads those rigs, allows you to run flasher and fly combination straight across the board and still give plenty of time for those and plenty of room for those big kings to come in and manipulate within the rig. Al's got a good fish on right here. You can see the bend in the rod. You can take a look at it. We've cleared some of the wire rigs and we've cleared some of the downriggers just because it's a tough bite today. A lot of people have commented about, you know, pulling rods and that kind of thing to make room for these kings at the back of the boat. But when it's a tough bite and you're running 3 for 7 on the kings like we are today, you get a good fish on like this. We want to make sure we got stuff out of the water so that our old buddy Al has a chance to put this baby in the kitty.
This is number 8.
There he is right there. I'll slow her down just a little, Matt. Captain Matt Bell at the wheel right now. He is working that. We'll dump this just a little bit, Dave. Let's
150 out, though.
Let's clear this one out, Dave, that you're standing against. I'm going to slide right in here and take this bait out. You know, in the spring of the year, how many browns we catch on the Black Widow and on the Black Wiggle. It's a version of that Black Widow. It's just got the cracked ice tape across it. Pro Troll has got one of those Michigan Stinger flashers out. It's an actual representation of that Black Wiggle, and we just put a green-black fly behind that Black Wiggle flasher and plunked that down at #1 on 125, 127, and that's what this fish took. A lot of what's been happening with these kings out here, usually when we start the beginning of the hot zone, the last week of June through the first 3 weeks of July, those kings will generally hit the bait and then they'll run, hit the bait and run. And as long as you let them lay up out there 200-300 feet from the boat, they'll pretty much be exhausted when they get to the transom. These fish have not been acting that way. They've been squirrely. Usually the 3rd week of July, sometime around the 21st to the 28th, Captain George Kogut and I will refer to it as the fish start to get funky. They start to tumble turn, they run to the sides, they come inside your downrigger cables, they run past the boat, they do all kinds of quirky things. Yesterday, you couldn't keep those green fish off the transom of the boat no matter how fast you were trolling away from them. This king, a more traditional fight, took it out long on the strike, laid up while we cleaned everything else up, and now you can see Al's just making steady, even pressure with this king to the back of the boat. You can see him laying up right there behind the flasher and fly. And the key to this deal, folks, when he gets close, is bite the fish straight on, maintain a nice 10 o'clock attitude, but if the fish's head starts coming out of the water, you want to slightly bow the rod tip. You don't want to bow it so much that there's momentary time period of slack. You just want to slightly bow to the fish, get his head back down in the water. It's 5 times more difficult for that fish to throw the hook when his head's underwater than if he's up in the open air. Just kind of keep that in mind as you're working them in at the back. When you hypnotize these fish, they get used to a certain pressure, and you don't want to vary from that unless he does something crazy. Neutral, Matt. Stay right here with me, right against the transom. Keep him coming out. Here he comes right here. Keep him coming just like that. Steady pressure. Come here, Dave. Raise him out. Got him. Big king. Laid him right up in the net. Perfect, mister. Good job, brother. That is the freaking way to do that deal. That is the way to lay that king into the net, buddy. That is super. There's that wiggle flasher, and this is a good one. There's mature. That's what we were looking for. Here's that wiggle flasher, and in just a second I'll get this king out of here and we'll show you exactly the size of this king. He's just an absolute dandy. Coming 125 on the rig. Yesterday those fish were 20 feet, 25 feet above that, but the heavy west wind pushed that thermocline down, so you want to be looking for that. There's that black silver, that wiggle flasher, and here's that green fly that we're using, that Pro-Am fly. Standard, pretty easy to get kings on that on a regular basis each and every day. It's one of our go-to flies.
That's the native there, Billy?
I don't see if we got any clips on that guy at all. No.
Native.
That's a nice fish. Probably spawned in the Salmon River, way up in the Black River. He's a dandy. Let's get him in the box, and I'm going to show you the segment on this winger, how to spread. All right, it's time to put this wiggle flasher back in. Straighten right there, Matt. We've just got this thing running about 20-25 feet behind the bow, so we're just going to drop it in, and we're going to set our Scotty downrigger here out on the side, and I'm going to show you this winger plate. It's a little bit to the right, Matt. What we're going to do here is we're going to loop this line. We're going to bring this weight up until it's just even with the surface or slightly above. We're using a flax release, so we're going to raise this up, and we're going to catch the release right here where we can handle it and clip the line in. Now you'll notice this plate right here above the weight. That's the winger. You can see that this plate is beveled. So as we drop this ball in the water comes down the side of this, hits this, kicks it into this posture, and as we troll forward, it starts to move that ball down and away from the side of the boat. So when you get south of Henderson Harbor, New York, you're hard-pressed to find a charter fishing captain that runs these things. When the Saiff Fleet's king fishing, if we're not running wingers on our outside downriggers, that's like fishing with one hand tied behind your back. That's how important they are. And guys that are trying to get the solitary bites by running lead core, running copper, we can keep those downriggers active throughout the course of the day by using that winger in line. It literally allows you to set 4 flasher fly combinations, all at 110 feet, all 20 feet behind the boat, turn the boat as fast as you can possibly turn the wheel and not tangle a line. That's the kind of spread and separation it'll give you. On a hot bite during the hot zone for kings, they're not as critical, but when you get into the staging period where kings are notorious for tracking for long periods of time on the bait before they engage in strike, that's going to put 3 to 5 additional kings a day in the boat for the angler. So having that winger and spreading the downrigger system, here it is, we're going to send it down, is extremely important to catching kings, whether you're in the hot zone or in the staging period.